Hello and welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new. My name's Addie and today we are back with another speed build. Um, this build is very long, very long. You guys will be seeing this in two parts, but I'm going to be recording it all at once. So it's going to be it's going to be two 1-hour videos. Um, But let me walk you through the concept. So, I'm not really sure if this is like a museum or if this is like a place where people actually live. Um, but essentially the concept is that there's this old house, museum otherwise, um, that is haunted. Um, and it is very large. Like very large. I think it's 4 stories, including the basement. So 3 stories above ground and then the basement. And it has literally taken me so long, like an excessive amount of time to actually like sit down and have time to record the voiceover for this because it is so long. And that's not even like the amount of time that it took me to build this place. Like at one point I just was like, "You know what? I'm done. I'm not going to build anymore." Because and there's still like landscaping that I would have loved to do, but I was just like so done this build by that point that I was like so tired of landscaping and so tired of just like the whole thing that I was like, you know what? The side of the house does not need rocks. It does not need to be more expensive than it already is. So it wasn't. And it does not have rocks on the what is now the left side of the build. And if you are concerned about that and want rocks on that side of the build, you can put rocks on the side of the build. Um, but yeah, so the shell of the build is coming together pretty well here. We are experimenting. This is gonna age the video so much, but I built this right after, or like maybe it was like a couple months after Life and Death came out. So Life and Death was still like really new when I built this. I had to take a step back from this build for a while because I was like, I'm just so tired of looking at this build that I don't even want to think about it at all. Um, and but now that like I've taken a step back, I would love I'm actually kind of I actually kind of like how it turned out. Um, so yeah, it's very dark. That's sort of the vibes of Life and Death is to have dark colors. And right now we are doing some terrain manipulation. I don't really do a lot of terrain manipulation. I find it sort of finicky, but this build was actually inspired by a build that I had done previously, that I didn't ever post on YouTube, because it was built before I started my YouTube channel or this YouTube channel. we're not getting into that. Don't try to find anything. There is nothing to find. Um, but I mean there's stuff to find, but you can't find it. Um, so this build was sort of inspired by that one. And I built that one right after paranormal stuff came out because I love paranormal stuff. I think between like paranormal stuff and life and death, that is like my thing, my vibe. I really love that style. So that was yeah, so that was sort of why I was building it was because I was like, you know what? I want to build something that's like that, but better because I know how to build stuff. Not to say that I didn't like that build. However, I do feel like I like this one more. So I just decided to build this one. Um, there is um a lot of stuff in this build. And like I said, like this build is going to be two parts because we're not even 7 minutes in and I'm already like so we are right now we are finishing the outside layout. So I'm going to sort of walk you through what that looks like. There is the main house. The main house is 4 stories. The first floor, not the floor that you walk into, not the main floor, but the floor that you, um, the first floor, like the ground floor, that is the kitchen and servants' dining quarters. Um, and then the floor that you walk into is the main house for the family that lives or lived here. So the family that lived or lives here, depending on a plethora of circumstances, um, they have like their entire living quarters on the main floor. So there's a very fancy, very formal dining room. There is a sitting room. There's an entertainment room. There's an office. There's at least 2 bedrooms that I can think of. While um just off of the top of my head. So there's like a lot going on the main floor. Then we go up to the second floor, the third floor, pardon, the third floor. Um, so if we're on the main floor, you go up 1 flight of stairs. That's the floor that I'm talking about. Um, that floor has 3 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms. 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. I probably, in this entire build, probably could have fit more, but I wanted the entryway to be open. I didn't want it to be like have like rooms there. So I just decided to not, and I made it a little bit smaller. And also like it was more manageable. I'm sorry, it's been a long time since I've recorded one of these, and I decided to dive straight into the one that I've been putting off for however many months. Um, and also like my life in general, I tend to use these speed builds a little bit as like a life update situation. My life has been so chaotic. Um, so I don't know how many of you are new to the channel. If you are new, welcome. Um, but my life has been kind of crazy. Um, I have two jobs currently because I'm trying to pay off a surgery that I had in October, and my car and student loans. And then also, in addition to that, I I switched jobs. So I went from, so I still have two jobs, but I switched my full-time job to a different company. And then on top of that, my part-time job, my second job, was really understaffed for a hot minute there. So there were some times where I was working like 70-hour weeks. That was hell. Do not recommend, 0 out of 10. Um, but I got a lot of money, so that's cool. Um, and then in 1 month, give or take, actually, it's probably like 3 weeks by the time that you're seeing this. Um, I will be on a cruise in the Caribbean. So I'm having to like plan for that, save up for pet sitting for my cat and my dog because they are needy little children and I do not trust um boarding. They are rescues. They have a lot of anxiety. I don't think boarding would be a good option for them, or for anyone actually. So that's kind of expensive to have like a pet sitter. Um, and so um I have a lot, yeah, I have a lot of stuff going on. And then also my wisdom teeth have been bothering me. So, and I was supposed to get them out in March, so last month, but then I switched jobs. And so I couldn't get them out last month. And I didn't have a ride this month. And then I'm going on my cruise next month. So I actually have to wait until June to get my wisdom teeth out, which isn't a huge problem because they're not like too bad, you know? Like most of the time it's just like a two and my mouth feels kind of sore. But sometimes if I bite wrong or like my braces screwed up my jaw, so like now my jaw just sometimes dislocates. But if like that happens, then it's like a whole thing and I have to like then like my teeth start hurting, you know? So that's not fun. So it's just been like a whole thing. Um, so that's sort of why I haven't been posting as much as I normally do. Like normally I try to post at least 2 to 3 times a week, and I've been only doing the occult challenge, which full transparency, I did bulk record that. Um, because I had time. And it's a lot easier to like just bulk record um some videos of like playing the game, and then edit those, and instead of having to like build an entire house and then and then like do a voiceover and then do a whole, yeah, it's like a whole thing to do a speed build, and because then you have to like cut down the speed build, especially this one, unedited footage, unsped up footage. This was 10 hours, 10 hours of footage. So then it was sped up and it was 4 hours. And I got it to cut down to 2 hours, just under. It's 1 hour, 59 minutes, and 55 seconds. Um, but yeah, so it was like it's been like a whole process to build this entire thing. And that's not even like 9 hours to build an entire fucking mansion. Wild. Um, but I'm hoping, and I really, really, really want to start posting more, but I just like don't have time. Like I don't have the mental capacity. Oh, and my family's dog died. That was another thing. My mental health has been really bad because of a lot of things. But also that just like in general, you know, I don't know how many of you watch Lil Simsy. If you watch me and you don't watch Lil Simsy, who the fuck are you? What are you doing? If you don't watch me, like if you watch me but you don't watch like Lil Simsy or James Turner or like English Simmer, any of them, where the fuck are you? Where have you been? Anyway, so highly recommend all of them. Love English Simmer. They're so cool. Lil Simsy and James Turner are also very cool. Not that I've met them, because I'm a little channel, but they are really cool and I like watching them. Um, but my family's dog died. Like my parents' dog died the same weekend that Lil Simsy's parents' dog died. And I was like, "Oh, that is such rough timing." Like that is honestly so unfortunate. Like anyway, yeah. So, um right now we are working on the maze. I love designing mazes. They are my favorite thing in the world to design. Um, so that's what we're doing right now. And you might be like, what on earth are you doing right now? But I kind of liked it. I really like I said, I really love designing mazes. We did do the entire like floor plan. The walls don't change, but the actual like layout of the floor plan changes. So just don't get too attached to that. Um, so we have a couple of things going on right now. We've got this like dually functions as a cemetery. So I go through and I like just basically like bulk do the everything. And then I go through and I put like some areas where I can put landscaping and make it cute and pretty and stuff. And like it just makes things a little bit easier to decorate. If you're not like focusing on making every corner useful. I do make a lot of the corners useful. Like I said, this does double function as a graveyard. So there are some memorial tables, there's some graves. Um, and so like your Sims could like if you decided to move into this house, which this house does use an ungodly amount of packs. For that, I apologize. Um, but if you decided to move into this house, you do have a graveyard that you could use for your Sims. Um, I cannot believe that it's only been like 20 minutes. That is wild. Some of my speed builds are like all done. Oh, and you're gonna watch me like wanna struggle with this for a minute. Um, so you can't connect basements, which are underground, to above ground levels. You can't do that. It doesn't work. So if you wanted to do a walkout basement, you would have to put the thing on a hill and like you would have to build it the second floor first. Or well, I guess you could build the first floor first and then raise up the found like the terrain so that it looks like it's on a hill. And then you could do the walkout basement that way, but it would still have like this really steep cutoff um, right up against the house. So it just depends on how you want to do that. But you can't connect them. So it either has to be above ground or below ground. It can't be both. Um, so there is a time which I struggle before I give up, seeing if there's a way to cheat it to get the um above ground like kitchen area connected to a first floor um basement. There's not, in case that was a unclear. But I struggle with that for some time. I don't know how much of it I cut out. And then we're just going through and putting in some like real trees because I put a bunch of dead trees around, but I was like, it might be good to have some real trees. So we're doing that right now. And there is a crypt as well. So there's the graveyard in the maze, and then there are the haunted swings, and then there's also the crypt. So you've got a lot of room for dead people in here. Um, I think I also put on the spooky lot trait, or lot challenge. I don't remember which one it is. And possibly also the island spirits one, but I also don't remember. Um, And I tried to keep as much of stuff in as possible. Um, but I did cut out a substantial portion of the build just because it is kind of ridiculous to be sitting here talking to myself for 3+ hours. You know, it's sort of different if I were to stream because like there'd be people presumably. um which I don't have time for right now. Like maybe in the future, maybe in like next year, maybe that could be a goal for next year. But that is not gonna happen this year. I have way too much going on. I have two aunts getting married, my cousin was just born, um my dog died, like yeah, I have two jobs and yeah. So, and this, which I do for a hobby. It's I really like recording Sims videos and just sort of like info dumping about The Sims. Sort of my vibes. Um, so trying to think what else. I don't really want to talk too much about the build because like you can see what's going on. I mean, maybe you're not. Maybe you're listening and you're drawing or you're playing Sims or whatever, but um there's we're mostly just like laying stuff out, doing like doors and windows and stuff, so it's not very interesting right now. Um but yeah, I'm trying to think what else has been interesting in my life recently. There's probably like a plethora more of things, but I don't know. It's also like very brown in here. It's very like wooden and like yeah, very wooden in here. Um, so I don't know if I even did my intro. I, okay, that's fine. Whatever. Moving on. um, I I assume I did, but I don't actually remember. Um, I could probably pause and listen to it, but I don't want to, so I'm not gonna. Right now, we are going through and sort of um like changing out the staircases. The staircases were the darkest watch of the life and death one. Um, but I changed them to a lighter swatch because I felt like it was too dark. And then we are moving on into the kitchen. Um, so the kitchen, oh my God. I have a story about this goddamn kitchen. So, I am building away, right? I saved before I came in down into the kitchen because I always save after I finish a floor and I'm changing to a different one. Um, Even if it's just like floor plan, you know, like I finish a floor plan and then I'm going to the next floor. I save, right? But I cut that out because like y'all don't need to watch me saving 15 billion times. So I get down here, I'm building, right, as you do, because that's the whole point, right? And I'm like decorating because I'm trying to think like, okay, what else would you have in a kitchen that doesn't have electricity? Because like the story behind the house is that whoever lived or lives here was slowly upgrading the house to have electricity, right? But you're gonna focus on your part of the house, on the rich part of the house, not the servants' quarters. They can do with like lanterns and candles. It's fine. So I was trying to think like what do they have that like doesn't require electricity or doesn't look like it would require electricity, like baking bread or like books or, utensils, that sort of thing. Um, so I'm like going through placing all of my like candles, all of my lanterns, my clutter, which we haven't quite gotten to yet. And I did cut out this part. So there are two tables in the middle. I don't know if they are currently tables or if they turn into tables. But there are two tables in the middle. And I'll be putting a bunch of shit down, and then all of a sudden everything will just be like in the correct place, like where I wanted it. That's because I cut it out. Because I would alt place something on these goddamn tables and my game would crash. So I would move something, I would move the table, I'd place something, I'd save. I'd move another thing, I'd place it, I'd save. My game would crash. I'd come back in, I'd place another thing, I'd save. I I'd place another thing, my game would crash. I'd come back in, I'd replace that thing, I'd save, I'd place another thing, I'd save, my game would crash. I was like, there is no way. So it took the game crashing like 5 times before I actually like got all the way through the goddamn kitchen. I don't really know why my game was crashing. Um, I couldn't ever figure that out. Like maybe because I was alt placing a lot of stuff, but like I alt place a lot of shit anyway, and it doesn't crash. I don't know. Anyway, so then once I get out of the kitchen, I save and it's fine and like it stops crashing. But so you'll see right now I'm placing down like a shit ton of stuff on these tables right now, and then we're gonna come back and it's like all put where I want it. Yeah. Yeah. So that's what happened with that. Um and then I'm trying to think what else, because there was something else that happened in this kitchen. Oh, I put curtains because there aren't any windows on the inside of like the inside wall, because like it just looks at rocks. Like who wants to do that? So I'm like that doesn't make any sense. Like old people, like old builds wouldn't have that. I'm not a historian, but I like history enough to know what makes sense. And also like just practical thinking. Um, so we get there's a lot of stone down here. And then we get curtains over the couch because it sort of fills the wall a little bit better, like we don't have a lot of paintings. Like the servants are not going to be spending their money on paintings for the kitchen. Okay? They're just not. It's not going to happen. So they put up curtains because those are easy to make, and then you can just they fill up the wall, and you're done. So we put those up there. And then we also have I think actually my game did crash one more time after we got out of the kitchen. I think it crashed um after I place the tables, but before I do any decorating. So we have like um so like I record it and then all of a sudden there's like it's just like different now. Um So you're gonna notice that I put some flowers and then we go like to a different place and like in the build, and we come back and there are different flowers. At the end of the build, I will do a walkthrough just because like it's so fucking massive. Like how would you even how would you even like think yeah, anyway. So, and right now you'll see that we have a pool, but we do get rid of that because I doubt there are very many like renovated mansions from the early 1800s and or the medieval times that have pools. So maybe I just don't spend a lot of time looking at like castles and old manors and stuff, but I feel like they probably wouldn't have a pool. So we do end up getting rid of that, and we get a couple of sheds. Oh, my game crashed again. So I did a bunch of placing with the so we'll have like a herb gardens type deal over on the side. But my game crashed right after I finished doing it and I didn't have a chance to save. So I didn't do that again. So if you want plants, you're gonna have to download them yourself. I tried and it didn't work. So I said, nope, I'm not doing that again. That was a waste of like however many minutes, probably like 20 minutes. Um, I'm not never gonna get that time back. So we're just gonna move on. Um, Now we are moving out to the cemetery graveyard maze space. Um, I don't remember if this got saved or if this happens before the like this I think this happened before the crash, so I don't think that this gets saved either. I think I have to go through and like replace a bunch of the decor, um, which is kind of unfortunate. Not gonna lie, but it is what it is. So we we were going through and putting a bunch of memorial tables and some like gifts for them. We do have a couple of skill building items in here. So we've got like a couple of chess tables, I think. I think we have a telescope, and then we also have an easel that you just saw. I'm going through and putting a bunch of like those gifts that I was talking about before on the memorial tables. I do like that they call them memorial tables. I feel like it's a little bit more universal. Like a lot of people put pictures of loved ones that have passed on display of some kind. So I kind of like that they did that. I mean, it makes sense, like you know what I mean, but it feels like a nice touch because if you watch my occult challenge, I don't know when this happened because like I said, I bulk recorded, so it's all like preset and it'll just upload when I schedule it for, but there my alien Sims wife's mom died and we got a memorial portrait, and I was able to put her mom's picture in that memorial portrait, which I thought was so nice because like then like your sim can have a picture of their mom, without you having to take it, which is kind of nice. I like having pictures of my Sims without having to like sit there and spam photos for 15 years with my Sims and all of their siblings and all of their parents and all of their grandkids and all of their whoever else. Um, so yeah. Um, it's kind of it was yeah, it was kind of fun. So we are going through and just adding in a couple of other things. My game will crash out here um after we place all of the fruits and vegetables and herbs and stuff in the garden. So we haven't gotten there yet. So this is all like I think it does get deleted, but it's not as, I don't know, it's not as bad as like replacing plants because you have to like get them off the gallery and then you have to, it's like a whole thing. And I actually prefer how this center area turns out in comparison to how it is now. I feel like now, I don't know. I like how it is the second time that I do it compared to the first time. So, yeah, it's kind of nice. I mean, it's nice now, but it's like kind of nice that I don't know. I like it better the second time around. Um, so yeah, there are a couple of grave sites that your Sims can tend. Um, and then I did try to make sure that everybody had at least one thing at their grave. Um, but I don't know if I succeeded completely with that. Let's see. So I think we're kind of moving on from the maze now, and we're gonna be moving over to where the garden, like the herb garden and stuff will be. Really liked the pool, but I felt like it didn't fit. It felt too modern, like if we had some curved pools and it felt more like, I don't know, like a pond. But I didn't want to add a pond into this build, so I was like, we're just gonna like veto the pool. I'm placing the crypt down right now. Um, yeah, we're just gonna like veto the pool. Oh, I also put the wishing well back here, sort of as like a cursed ode, because I'm like, well, you might get if you wish for a child, you might get a ghost child, and that's kind of fitting for a haunted house. Um, it could also be that just like ghosts live here, you know? Um, but yeah, I don't know. I was really trying to make the pool work, so I used the stuff from growing to or get together, sorry, not growing together. But I just didn't like it. I felt like it was not, I don't know, I felt like it wasn't good. Um, so we do have a couple of sheds, and then my game crashed, so I put some chickens as well after my game crashed. I didn't record, but I did start rebuilding it. Um because I lost a lot of things and I didn't want to record it again over. So I didn't. But there will be chickens. So there's chickens and then there's two animal sheds and there's a garden. So all of the servants, the concept here would be that like you would have I mean maybe you could have a small business, but I was thinking more along the lines of like a residential rental and then you could have like a maid and a butler and pretend that I do have a butler's suite. This building here is the butler's suite, but you could pretend that the people that you're renting to down in the basement are like the maids. And so you would hire the maid, right? Because you would have to pay them. But like then you could rent out those rooms because they are fully functional as apartments. So you could do that and then have them um and then just sort of like play pretend that those are the servants. Um but that was sort of what I was thinking with that. Just because there's not really a way to have live-in servants in The Sims without mods. So, you do sort of have to do a little bit of pretending, but I felt like it was like it was okay, because like you're still having the um you're still having stuff get cleaned, and like technically the people that you're my cat is trying to sit on my keyboard and he can't because otherwise he'll stop the video and I'm trying to record. Um so like your shit's still getting cleaned, you're still paying someone, but you're also like getting paid for these people living in your house. Um so that was sort of why I was okay with it. I felt like functionally it worked out well enough that it didn't matter. And I was really trying to keep this bonfire, but I don't end up keeping the bonfire. Just because like it didn't, I don't know, it didn't work. Um, yeah, so I also cut out like all of me placing like all of the plants. So you saw that there were some plants, but I cut out everything in between me before they were placed and after they were placed. And then we do have some clotheslines. I don't know if this works. I don't know if they need to be outside. Um, or if because these are technically covered, if it'll actually work. But I was like, it would be kind of convenient if it did. So I put them there anyway. And like, who knows if you'll actually play with laundry. So you could always just like delete it if you really wanted and put like planters or something under there. And then we also have a couple of benches and like a grill, and this sort of area is like where I imagine the servants would hang out. So there's like lots of areas to like lots of areas to hang out and like do stuff. And we are getting a couple of trees over here. I don't know if these end up staying. Um, so this must have been after I had that crash because all of a sudden we were in a completely different area. We have the basement furnished. That's the wine cellar. There are some nectar making things. And then I don't, at this point in the build, I was kind of a little bit tired. Not that I did this all in one day. I want to be clear, this took me like 10 hours. So I did it over the course of several days, but I did get tired. Because it was like days of just like going through and like building, and it was so tiring. Like there's an understatement of like how tiring this was at this point. And I hadn't even finished, like my game had crashed so much. It crashed so much. And I was so tired of it crashing. And so I was just really tired of this build. And then on top of that, like I haven't even furnished the main floor. I haven't even furnished the upper floor. There's a attic that I don't even attempt to furnish. This room, I'm not really sure what it's for, to be completely honest with you. What ends up going in there is just like a lone nectar making station. Um, but yeah, I don't really know what's going on with that one. But these are the units that I imagined that you would rent out. So you would have the units themselves are actually quite small. Um And I was trying to figure out like what a good color scheme would be. Should I keep the seance table? It would be kind of like a fun skill building thing, but like you already have a lot of skill building things around the lot. So it was just kind of yeah, it was a lot to figure out. Um, but yeah, so there's a lot in these rooms. There's a lot of horse ranch in here, in these units. And then they don't have a stove. They only have a refrigerator and a sink. Just because, like, in theory, they would go upstairs to make their food. Like they would have, like, they would go upstairs and they would make food in the like big kitchen. So you would just have this one to store stuff. So I didn't want to put too much just because then they wouldn't come out. Then they wouldn't make food in the main kitchen. Um and then this room, I so this room I think is for a child. And I do end up switching it. Okay. I was like, I don't know where to put the bed in this room. So I switched the child's room over and then I put in this bed from Horse Ranch. Like I said, lots of Horse Ranch in this build. Specifically down here, there's a lot of Horse Ranch. My cat is demanding attention. So if you hear loud purring or a scream, it's fine. It's just my little boy Atticus. If you are not familiar, I have a cat. His name's Atticus, and his I have a dog. Her name is Zilla, like Godzilla. No, Atticus is not named after Atticus Finch from To Kill a Mockingbird. People ask me that a lot, like a surprising amount, but he's not. So. Um, anyway, back to the build for a second. Pretty much finished the first build. I'm taking out the lights, like the electric lights, and I'm making this portion off the grid, just because that was the whole idea. So we do have a bunch of lights, a bunch of lanterns, lots of candles. And then I did want to add something to the wall because I felt like this kid's room was not very fun. But trying to figure out what you would hang to a wall of stone was quite the challenge. So I don't actually remember what I end up putting there. Oh, maybe I put these. I don't know. But yeah, so we've got some cute stuff down here. And then go back into the parents' bedroom, apparently, and get some more um, decor before moving on to the next unit. This unit, these poor, poor people at this unit, and I do switch out the seance table for this table. It looks like the one from Cottage Living, just because like who really wants to eat off a seance table? So we get this one. It's sort of similar vibes from the seance table, but it's like slightly different. Um, so yeah, in here, I feel bad for these Sims. They have a lot of kids. I think they have two toddlers, an infant, and a newborn. So they're all like so little too that like, how on earth are you surviving? Um, but yeah. That's what they get. But they have a lot of toys, and I definitely feel like these kids have like a good life. These kids probably don't know that having their own room could be an option. I feel like a lot of kids sort of, especially if you're like used to sharing a room, you like don't even think about it anymore. after a while. So not that I have had that experience, but I've heard that's an experience. One of my friends shares her bedroom, and she's like, "Yeah, you just get used to it after a while." Um, because her youngest sister shares a room with her. Her youngest sister is in high school now, which is so weird because last time I saw that kid, she was in fifth grade. But yeah, so this apartment is very tiny. It's kind of cramped, but I like it. I feel like it's sort of a challenge. I think it would be fun to live in one of these units, not necessarily like as the fancy people, but as like the not fancy people. So here's that toddler's room, and then I get an infant's. I put the newborn bassinet in the parents' room and the infant crib over here. So they have a lot of kids. They have like a lot of kids. It's sort of dark and spooky in here. I don't know if I changed that or if it's like a fun storytelling thing where it's like, oh yeah, well, helps the kids sleep because it's dark, you know? Um, so yeah, we do have a toddler potty. I'm pretty sure we have everything that you could need, but yeah, so I think it would be kind of fun to like live as a servant, in this house, like live in one of these units. That would be kind of chaotic. Kind of fun, but kind of chaotic. So, yeah, this room is the parents' room, obviously, it has a double bed, and they have the bassinet in here. The bassinet, I did choose to do the slightly fancier one just because I felt like it was it fit a little bit better in terms of like the vibes. Um, so yeah. I think we'll finish up the basement really quick and then we'll end this part right here. So right now we are just going through adding some final touches, and then I do put a couple of showers because the units do not have showers. They have like communal showers in like this bathroom in the wine cellar. So, I do add a couple of showers in there, and then we're going through and adding in or changing the color of the wine racks. These are so hella expensive. I'm not even sure why, but they are. And then here is where I'm getting that I don't even know how to explain this room. I was like, I don't know what the fuck to put in here. So I put a nectar making thing. Um, but I think on that note, we will end this part right here. We are at about an hour. So yeah, I will post the second part of this next week on Thursdays. I post speed builds on Thursdays. If you liked this and you want to see the next part, make sure you subscribe and turn on those notifications. That would really mean a lot. And I will see all of you on Sunday. Bye now.